Salute, Nick family. Welcome to the Queen's Court. We meet here every Monday to chop it up about the Knicks. We'll talk about last week's games. We'll talk about this week's games. We'll talk about the absence of Mitchell Robinson. We'll talk about our defense. We'll talk about our offense, what we'll like to see for the rest of the season as well. My name is Stephanie, aka Queen. Dope Soul Sports Talk. I'm the host in my weekly spot right here where it all started. Nothing but Knicks. I appreciate everybody that's here in the chat, those who'll join us later, and of course the replay game. All right, let me bring in the panel. DJ Shuttle every Friday, 108 Soul, 8 to 10. Check them out. And Jeff, resident panelist, Dope Soul Sports Talk. How you guys doing?
Fantastic. Ready to
Let
talk
me.
some Nick. We have a game tonight, though, don't we? Isn't it later
We have
on
a
tonight?
game tonight, 10:30, LA Lakers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling good. It's the end of the year. Big birthday bash coming up, but in Nick's world, it's gloom and doom right now. The way this defense is looking so defenseless.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Stafford, if you home and you want to join us, let me know. I'll DM you the link. All right. I just want to give a shout out to the MBK family of shows before we get started. Pre-game, post-game, the shoot around with Simeon Russell, creative the channel, the NBA wrap up with Ron of Still Nick fans, the controversy with Josh, aka Uncle Fulio, the Losers Lounge with Tony Crow of Knicks and Bruises, live shows and videos by International Andy, Queen's Court with yours truly of Dope Soul Sports Talk, and then special programming and events by Sim. Keep it locked in right here for the entire season. We got you covered. All right. So last show we were 12-9. Currently we're 14-11. So we was 2-2 since we last had the show. It just seems like it's worse than that, but we're 500, 2-2. Sixth in the Eastern Conference. We were actually seventh last week. So not only are we keeping pace with the rest of the Eastern Conference, we're a little ahead of last week. We lost our last game. Our offensive rating. So on the left is our rating for the entire season, and on the right, it's the last 4 games. What I've been noticing is sometimes when you look at the ranking for the season, you don't really get a sense of how we've been doing of late. And that's why I put in the last 4 since we last met. So we're 8th overall in offensive rating. Last week, though, we're 4th. So the offense has been a little better compared to the other 29 teams. Defensive rating for the season, 15th. But the last 4 games, 29th. It's only 30 teams. We'll talk about that during the show. Net rating, 10th overall, 15th over the last 4 games. And I just want to do a quick rundown of our games last week just to give us some context. And we're going to jump right into it. We beat the Raptors 136-130. Randall had 34 points. Hartenstein, 8 rebounds. We shot very well that game, as you can see, 60.5 from the field, 59 basically from the three-point line, 65.2 from the free throw line. Not that great from the free throw line. We lost to Utah 113-117. Randall had 32 points, 12 rebounds. We shot 43.6% from the field, 23% from three, only 68.8% from the free throw line. Brunson had a terrible game against Utah. We'll talk about that. In Phoenix, we beat Phoenix. We put up 139 points. We gave up 122, but we put up 139 points. Brunson had 50. Randallstein, so both Randall and Hartenstein had 8 rebounds that game. We shot basically 60% from the field, basically 59% from the three-point line, and 85.7% from the free throw line. And then the Clippers, which was a loss, 122-144. Brunson and Randall each had 22. Hartenstein had 10 rebounds, 46.8% from the field, 31.4% from the three-point line, and 88.5% from the free throw line. We bring the panel back in. And you know how we do it. I start off with the same question. What over the last week stood out for you, player wise, team wise, coaching wise, rotation wise, and any other wise you want to talk about? We'll start with you, DJ Shuttle and Jeff. And there's no special segment, so whatever you want to talk about, you could just let it fly.
What stood out for me is the team is the same average team I've been saying they are for the past several weeks. The team's average. Don't tell me Phoenix was a signature win. That's not a signature win. Kevin Durant's not playing. Phoenix, say what you want. We're 25 games into the season and they're a 10th seed. You know, like this is an average team. This is an average team. This is an average team. And with Mitch out, I mean, I don't love Mitch that much, but sheesh, he definitely makes a difference. This defense has been defenseless for several weeks, even before he went out. Without him, it makes it even worse. So, Taj Gibson, sure, brought him in. I'm not mad at that. But if you're serious about this season, you're gonna have to make a big move. Either you're gonna have to make a big move, or you might as well just give in and just because this team, as constituted currently, with Mitch out for another 7-8 weeks, this is an average team. It's not going far. And what stood out for me is this week is I might be reserved to play-in status or lottery status. That's what's standing out for me.
Wow. Wow. Even though, well, to your point, as far as our defense is concerned, the last 10 games we're ranked 30th. The last 15 games we're ranked 25th. So our defense was slipping even with Mitchell Robinson on the court. But I think it looks even worse because that interior intimidation is not there, and guards are just getting in the key and not daring to get into the key. They could have gotten to the key before. It's not like we had like defensive stoppers on the perimeter other than Grimes. But they didn't really choose to do it that much because they knew Mitch was back there. That's not the case now.
No
That's
deterrent.
they
No,
just going in there like it's Black Friday. You know what I mean? And the doors just opened.
Matador D.
Yeah.
The Matador D is in effect, big time.
Yeah, for sure.
This team, the team has no legit wins. You know what I'm saying? This team still has no legit wins. By legit, I mean like top 4, top 5 teams in either conference. The Clippers, they were still just got James Harden. They're picking up steam. Now they were 6 seed. You got one win against Miami. They're a 5 seed. Those are the best wins. Those are the signature wins. It's looking terrible.
Yeah.
To me,
Yeah, of course for you. Yeah.
I'm not like I want the team to be great. So I don't feel great about saying this, but I have to be honest. What I'm seeing is this team's going nowhere fast.
When you say nowhere, you're talking playing.
When I say
I
going,
don't think any of us thought they were going to like the Eastern Conference.
But I mean, this team went to the second round last year. So going into this season and with the start and some wins, people were thinking, "Oh, it's going to be the second round again, at least." And I'm saying this team is lucky to make the play-in and make the first round.
Wow. Okay. All right. Jeff, just what you've seen this week, and if you have any comments on what Shuttle has said, you could throw that in.
If as long as we shoot 60% from the field and 60% for 3, we're fine, right? No problem. Right? Easy recipe for success, very sustainable.
Right.
That's kind of the frustrating thing for me, but I expected us to go 2-2 this week, and we did. So, wasn't the way that I thought it was. But at the end of the day, a win is a win. The Jazz game was really disappointing to me. I just thought that was not a game we should have lost. Um, you know, I would agree with Shuttle that the Phoenix win isn't a signature win, but getting off the schneid against Durant for the first time since 2013 when he was actually on the floor is to me is significant.
I saw him on the sideline though.
Well, he scored like 28 points. I mean, he played.
Yeah, I thought it was a good win. You could say it wasn't a signature win, but I thought coming into Phoenix, particularly after how we played against Utah and beating them with in their place on the road with Durant, who's a superstar. He could be an agent superstar, but he's still that guy. And Devin Booker, I thought that was a good win for the Knicks, even if not a signature win.
I mean, they are who they are. They're 10th seed.
For now, but they got talent.
I think they're a little bit better than a 10th seed, but
I mean, that's where they are right now.
Right, but that's okay. You could be struggling. Remember they haven't played anyway. Go ahead, Jeff.
So yeah, I mean, I got confused. I'm sorry, Sean. You said Phoenix is a 10th seed. Like I said, it's not a signature win. I just wanted to point out that to beat the team with Durant on it is something that we haven't done in a very long time. And he and Booker combined for 57 in that game, and Brunson almost outscored him by himself. And that's pretty impressive. As Queen was calling for Brunson to step up and take over a game, and that's exactly what he did. And so I think from that standpoint, I think that's a positive you can pull from that win. I don't like to do this, but I really feel like that the Clippers game was kind of a schedule loss anyway. I mean, it's the third game of the road trip. They're coming in fresh, and they came in healthy. Kind of like the New Orleans game early on in the season. It just there are just some games where I just kind of feel like, yeah, they're not going to have it. That's not an excuse. They're still a professional basketball team. They still need to go out and win, but so from that standpoint, that was a little disappointing. But again, I said last week, I think it was, that if we can find a way to go 2-3 in these next 5 through Brooklyn, I'll be okay with that. It's been a rocky road, but we're more than staying afloat. We're 14-11. That's not a bad place to be. And you know what else is? There's a lot of average teams in the Eastern Conference. We like to say how great these other teams are. The Indiana Pacers have about the same record as we do. They're not great shakes. The Orlando Magic, who everyone's really high on, are falling back to earth. The Brooklyn Nets are 13-12. The Atlanta Hawks and Toronto Raptors are both really struggling, barely in the final play-in position. So there's I think there's a couple of distinct plateaus right now. I think Philly seems to be rising up to be with Milwaukee and Boston, and Detroit is just a dumpster fire. And I think Charlotte is kind of in a similar, and Washington are both in a similar state of disrepair. But other than that, I think Cleveland's not great shakes right now either, and that was the 4-5 matchup last year. So, I think that, yes, we're an average team, but I think it's kind of an average Eastern Conference. And I could see us playing similar to the way we are now and getting to the 4th or 5th seed. We're going to have to play better defensively, obviously, but, I think it's, I'm not discouraged by it. Let's put it that way. I think we can play better. Thibodeau's teams usually pick it up on the defensive end as the season goes along. That's usually something that does improve. I would actually like to see more Emmanuel Quickly. I think his perimeter defense on these smaller guards is helpful. I would like to see an uptick in his minutes, and I don't really care who gets minutes subtracted, whether it be Grimes or DiVincenzo or even RJ. at this point. I would really, every lineup that we have that has Quentin that has IQ on the floor is a positive. We need to find more combinations that have him on the court. I think it helps us defensively, um, and I think he's just, I think he's a key cog to this team that we're not fully utilizing right now.
Right. Let's talk about the defense a little bit. What have you seen, and what would you like to see? And with what would you like to see? Is it possible? Like we might want to.
I would
Is
like
it
to see a 6'9" a
right?
lockdown wing. That's what
Right.
I would like to see.
Right. Is improvements possible with this current roster? Is it just a matter of effort? Is it just a matter of scheme? Or we shouldn't really expect much improvement with this particular roster? Just your thoughts on the defense, and what do you think needs to happen? Shuttle?
I just don't think these players have the it factor for defense. You know, only a couple of guys have the speed, the quickness, the lateral movement to really be effective on ball players. Randall's below average, RJ's below average. I mean, Hardenstein, I guess, is average. I mean, quickly and Grimes are really the only two guys I could say that are above average defensive players. Maybe DiVincenzo, but that's it.
You don't think Josh Hart is an above average defender?
I think he plays hard. I think he's good in the passing lanes, things like that. I think he's average to above average. He's close to above average. I'll give you that. But yeah, I mean, like, you can't have a good defensive team if you don't have anybody 6'8", 6'9", that can block shots or do rundowns. Like, there's nobody that it looks like they just have like the instincts that you need out there to anticipate plays and shots and things. And I'm just like, wow, did you not see that coming? Like, how did you just stand there?
You think that's an effort issue? You think that's a defensive IQ issue?
I think it's defensive IQ. I think it's defensive IQ and physical limitations. Like, I think in Randall's heart and mind, he might want to go for something, but the truth is he can't jump that high. RJ's not quick. He's not a quick leaper. These are the things that help you be good defenders. And, like Josh Hart, he has the instincts. Like, if we had a couple people that had those instincts, we'd be great. He has the instincts. We need more of that. And to your point, Jeff, about quickly and more minutes, I think I said it 2 or 3 weeks ago. I might be reserved to, instead of Dante, just making quickly the starter. I might be reserved to it because, you know what? At this point, you have to decide if Grimes is the guy or not the guy. So there seems to be some leaning that he's not the guy, right? So now you got to say, well, are we going to trade this guy? We're going to let this guy walk? Are we going to match a restricted deal? So listen, we're playing average anyway. Let's put him in the starting lineup, see what happens. At least he's a pretty good defender anyway on ball. And just give it a shot and make an assessment on whether or not you're going to keep him or what you're going to do with him.
Yeah, I mean,
because the money he's going to command, you can't pay him to come off the bench. I'm sorry.
Right. No, I hear you. I love that offensively, and I agree. He is a really good defensive player, and I think I haven't looked at the on-off numbers this year, but I would think that he's good with Brunson defensively. That puts a lot of pressure on RJ Barrett, though, because I can't see quickly defending those big wings. So he just has to defend shooting guard. Like everybody, it's not about guarding up. You're a shooting guard. You're going to guard the small forward today or the power forward today. You're going to have to just guard your position. And because of his size and more so his girth, or lack thereof. RJ Barrett now gets those assignments, but I'm not mad at that. That second unit now, no, the thing about that second unit, you're going to need a lot of ball movement because you're not going to have who's creating their shots in that unit. You can run RJ with that unit, but DiVincenzo is not really creating it. He can put the ball on the floor and get in the lane. Don't get me wrong, but not on Quickly's level. Grimes could do it a little bit. I've seen it a little bit, but that's not an expectation in that second unit. RJ's a straight line. He can get to the, straight line, get to the rim. And then you got Josh Hart and Hartenstein. So, but that being said, that game Quickly was out. That second unit looked beautiful. The ball movement looked beautiful. And that's what they would have to rely on because you don't have guys to get their own shot.
And I think one of the difficulties with this team, especially without Mitch in the lineup, is we don't have a lot of switchability on defense, which means that anytime that they get you in a pick and roll, you're scrambling, and you're in trouble. Like a lot of teams like Toronto, Boston, you put them in the pick and roll, they're just like, okay, I'll just switch that. New York can't really do that. We don't have, we have either guys who are too small or too slow or too unengaged or whatever you want to say, but we just don't have the ability to switch. Some teams switch 1 through 4. And I think a lot of modern defenses is kind of predicated on the fact that you can guard multiple positions, and we've got a lot of guys who can't even guard one. So
the basically what you're saying with Quickly in that starting lineup, we won't be able to switch. And if there is pick and rolls and a lot of switches, we may be at a disadvantage.
Of course, that can't get really worse than 30th though. So I guess it's going to be worth a little.
Right.
What are we going to do? Become 32nd? No, we're going
to. And that's where I'm at, Jeff. If it's this bad already, there's nowhere lower to go. So if I'm this low, I might as well just throw a joker out there and see what happens. That's where I'm at.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to answer the question about, is this team capable of defending a little better? I mean, if you look at our offense, I think our offense is legit, regular season legit. I mean, the playoffs, I think, is a different story, but regular season legit. It's been top 10 for the entire season. Last week it was 4. So I think the offense is legit. If it stays that way, and again, I'm only speaking for the regular season, I don't think you need a top 10 defense. It can't be 30th, though. It can't be 30th. But I don't think you need a top 10 defense if you're a legitimate top 10 offensive team. But you need to be able to play some defense and be able to get some stops. But I don't think we need to be top 10.
Last year, we were 19th last year with virtually the same roster. So I if you're going to ask, are we capable of playing better than we are now? I think the answer is a definite yes. I mean, I would. There's nobody in the world who thinks that swapping DiVincenzo for Toppin is hurting our defense. Like that's not a Obi was a traffic cone. He couldn't guard anybody. And DiVincenzo may not be. I agree with Shuttle's assessment on DiVincenzo. I don't think he's much more than an average defender, but he does get in the passing lanes. He is going to get you a couple of steals, a game just from putting pressure on the ball and well, maybe more in an off-ball scenario with his steals. But at any rate, he's. I think he does more on the court from a defensive standpoint than Toppin did. So and that team finished 19th. So is the ability there to have a bottom third but not bottom of the league defense? Yes. Now they've got to commit to that though. I don't know all of the time that we're committed to that defense. I think a lot of times We just, I think this team fancies itself as the track meet team like the Pacers. I think they want to play in those games that are 135 to 130, and then we have a lot of capable scorers, so we kind of get sucked into that trap, if you will, but and maybe that's how we're going to succeed this year. It wouldn't be the first time a Thibodeau team did that. I think one of the years in Minnesota, with he had a really poor defensive team that was top four. I don't remember what their record was. I don't really follow the Timberwolves, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I kind of remember, maybe mine playing tricks on me, but I kind of remember them having a season where they won a decent amount of games and their defense was not good at all.
Who is this? The Timberwolves?
The Timberwolves, when Thibodeau was their coach.
Right. That's not the case now, though. They're the top defensive team in the league. But I hear, listen, it's about the net rating. The difference between, because look at Milwaukee. Milwaukee is third in offense and 20 something in defense, but their net rating is top 10, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I have that in one of the slides. So, basically, the better your offense is, your defense doesn't need to be as stout as your defense is. Your offense doesn't have to be as great. You need to find a balance. I just don't think, as well as our offense has been playing, I just don't feel comfortable that we can rely on scoring 125, 130 points a night. I don't feel real confident in it. And maybe I'm off, but I just don't feel confident in it. We've been doing it. I just don't feel confident in it.
Hey, you're not the only one.
Yeah. So I do think defense needs to turn up just a little. You can't be 30. You can't be 30. 19. I'll take 19. I'll take 20. Yeah.
If you're going to be 30, we're going to need to be number 1 or 2 or 3 in offense.
Right.
I mean, not with games where you're shooting 65% from the line and then 68% from the line and 23% from 3. Like, you're not going to be able to be 30th on defense with those type of offensive numbers.
Right. And I think the playoffs is a different. Like, I'm super concerned about the playoffs. But I'm referring now, more so to the regular season. But I'm super concerned about the
playoffs.
I'm super concerned about that. But basically, what I'm hearing is from Jeff is that it's about effort and buying in and digging in. Same team, swapping out Obi for DiVincenzo, but Mitch is going now. I do think that, how much can we expect? How much can we expect to improve? We were 19th with Mitch.
In the game, honest question, I don't know the answer. I'm hoping that one of you two does. In the games where Mitch missed last year, what was our defensive rating?
I don't know. That's a great point.
In other words, I think that it was probably worse, but I don't think it was fall off the map worse. Like I don't. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't remember too many stretches where we looked like this on defense last season.
Well, this team was falling off the map before Mitch even got out this year.
Right. But the point he's making is our defense didn't look this bad last year when Mitch missed, I don't know, 20 games, 18 games, whatever it was.
Yep, about that.
So
that's that's fair. And you can even say maybe the Knicks are able to hang in there because Mitch not being in there does help our offense a little bit, and just in terms of the freedom and having more lanes and it flowing a little more freely. So maybe it's more about the net difference between our offense and defense. But again, it can't be 30th. It can't be 30.
30.
Yeah. It can't be 30. All right. Let's turn to the offense. Let's dig into that a little more. Are you buying? I know Keith Turner says, I don't see our offense playing well. I don't agree with that one. Um, yeah, your thoughts on the offense? Are you buying in on the Knicks offense? Eighth on the season, fourth last week, consistently top 10, pretty much. Are you buying the Knicks offense, Jeff?
I think so. I mean, we were a good offense last year. I think we do the things that we did well last year. I think we still do, and I think we're a little bit better shooting team than we were last year. So I think you add up all those pieces together, and I think at least from a regular season perspective, I kind of agree with you when you get scouted and you're playing the same team, and they can kind of gear up for you, in a 7 game series. It may look a little different, but from just a night to night basis, the Knicks have been tough to stop. I mean, they and again, they don't shoot the ball particularly well. Their numbers at the rim are not good, and so that kind of leads me to believe that, yeah, people may not like the formula or the system or whatever you want to call it. They say we don't run offense, but we sure do score points. Like, even in the games we lose, we put up decent point number. I mean, we scored 113 against Utah and we shot terrible, like 40, 20, 60. Isn't that what you put, what was up on your slider or something
Hmm.
ghastly like that? So, and we still scored 113. So, and I think that the get extra possession game and take care of the ball, those things are, they help you. You get 10, 11 extra possessions, you can make up for some poor shooting. Now, I think our rebounding hasn't been quite as good as it was last year. Um, I could be wrong about that, but I kind of feel like there have been a lot more games where the possession battle has been a lot more even this year than last year. Um, and again, I don't have the numbers. I didn't look those numbers up ahead of time, so that may just be that may not be accurate. But it just feels that we've had several games this year like, oh, we got out rebounded. That surprised me. Or, oh, rebounds were even, the shots were even. That surprises me, and that's not something I felt like we said at all last year. So uh, again, I'm not sure about all that, but I think the offense is solid. I'm not overly worried. I don't think we're like in for a stock market crash or anything. But knock on all the wood that I can find too. So
Yeah, and before I get to Shuttle, because I think what Keith Turner is saying, let me put his comment up, is what a lot of Nick fans think about. I'm sorry, that's the wrong one. Sorry. That don't mean our offense is good. Do y'all enjoy watching the team offensively? I think how it looks aesthetically is very different from whether or not it's effective or whether or not it works. And I agree with you. There's some games where it's not pretty, um, but you get the results. Now, I come from watching the Knicks in the '90s, where the offense wasn't pretty ever, ever, but it was effective. So I don't think whether it looks good is a criteria for whether or not the offense is good or not. I think is breaking down how your team scores. And for us, we've talked about this, it's the volume game. We don't shoot the free throws well, but we're going to put up enough of them. We're going to put up enough threes, even though we are shooting them well. We're going to try not to turn the ball over so that we can, get as many possessions as we can out of the game. And we're going to try to, through second chance opportunities, put up more shots than the other team, extend the possession. Like that's our formula for scoring. And different teams have different formulas. So whether that's going to work in the playoffs, um, whether it's pretty or not, you know, this is the best way for our team. It seems like the way it's currently constructed, and up to this point, it's working. I think my concerns is the playoffs because I'm not very confident in our shooting. I think our 3-point shooting is really good. But I also think we got young players on this team, and I could see that 3-point shooting going south really quick in the playoffs, like it did for us last season. And now we're dead in the water. So, but for the regular season, I'm a believer. I'm a believer um, in the offense. Shuttle, your thoughts on it?
First of all, you saying playoffs very, very comfortably. Clean. I'm just having a total different outlook on the season right now. You saying playoffs extremely comfortably, and you putting that spirit in the air. So I'm gonna try to receive it the best I can. But I'm telling you right now, I'm looking at a playing team. I'm
But
looking at
what
a
makes you think it's a playoff team though? Like what when
I
you
said
look at them,
play in at
yeah,
best.
what makes you think it's a play? Is it that you don't feel Brunson and Randall are playing up to speed? You don't feel like they have the support? Is it the defense? Is it the offense? Like, is it the energy? Like, what makes you look at this team who's 6 right now in the Eastern Conference, 3 games over 500? We're ahead of the pace last year. We're ahead of our pace of last year. Um, and we're 2-2 in the last week. What's giving you the concerns and making you think this is a playing team?
Because you have to beat some top tier teams. You can't look at all the wins. Detroit, Charlotte, Atlanta, Toronto. Like, come on. It's like, you gotta beat somebody. You gotta beat somebody. It's like this is like all the wins are like the teams that you play to get warmed up before your real season starts.
But guess what? When you think about it, there's still enough teams in the league that are not the top teams where you could still finish 6th or 5th. How many times are you playing Boston? How many times are you playing Milwaukee? The West Coast teams you're only playing twice, and you're not going to lose to them every single time. So you could not do well against those teams and still get into the playoffs solidly. I think, because how many of the top tier teams are there?
I don't want to give it any more energy. Um, I, I will just say my biggest concern is the defense and being able to stop folks when you need to. And I'm gonna say what I said, I don't know, 3-4 weeks ago. Listen, my boy Brunson shooting 47 and a half from the field, shooting 46 from three, only 79 from the line. I'm gonna need you to keep shooting. I said it before and I'll say it again. Anybody say that Brunson needs to pass more, he said it with his teammates. No, no, no. I don't even care about that. Brunson, if there's anybody that's a bucket on the team, it's Brunson. People on the team need to find a way to get him the ball and make it easier for him to score. Or get out of the way and let him get a basket because he draws fouls, he gets teams in foul trouble. He normally shoots a little better from the line, but even for him, he's down and he's shooting 79%. And listen, Randall got out of the early season funk. He's back to 22-10 Randall.
Mhm.
So RJ's come back to reality. And that's it. It's like, there's just not enough firepower. So just get out the way, give it to Brunson. Brunson, you need to, when y'all are tired, give it to Quickly. And that's it.
Everybody else just get what they could get.
Everybody else, just hustle, get rebounds, block shots, offensive charges, draw them. Don't turn the ball over. Don't shoot a lot and shoot a high percentage.
Yeah. Anything to add, Chef?
I just really like the way Randall's playing right now. I actually think Randall's playing better on offense than he did last year in a lot of ways. I love that he's posting up deep. I love that little floater. fade away from like 4 to 6 feet. I love that he's not shooting as many threes because he's not that high a percentage shooter. So I think where he's getting his points from is better. I just really, and he has just been a monster. Like this last 3 weeks, 2, 3 weeks, the guy's just been a monster. And does he have turnover issues? Yes, but he's always had those. Like would I like that to be better? Sure, but certain point you have to understand he is what he is. He's a high turnover player, but he's also a player that gets a lot of assists too. And he's not an unwilling passer. I just think that sometimes he gets himself in trouble, and those quarters where he does those points when he does, they're the really ugly turnovers too. You know what I mean? I think Keith Turner talked about he doesn't like how it looks, right? I think that's part of what he's talking about, because when he has those possessions where he's going one on the world, and and then he doesn't have anything, and he spins, and the pass goes to the black hole to nowhere, that it doesn't look good, right? But I think you made the right point, and I think Shuttle's right too. I think you got to have the ball in the hands of your best players. Like, the Milwaukee Bucks aren't saying Dame don't shoot or Dame doesn't pass enough. No, they're like, this guy makes it when he pulls up at the logo. Let him shoot as much as he wants to. He every time he touches the ball, the defense is having to do something. They're having to react. And this team doesn't have a lot of players that make you do that. Like Quentin Grimes gets the ball, nobody cares. Like the defense is not moving at all. I think that's even true for guys like DiVincenzo and even quickly to a certain degree. So, we have two guys that make the defense do something, and that's Randall and Brunson. And so get the ball in their hands and let them go to work. Because that's how those other guys are even going to get shots.
Yeah, I was watching, I've been watching this season. I'm watching more basketball. I've always had League Pass, but sometimes I don't even use it. I'm just watching the Knicks because there's so much going on. But lately I've been watching other teams, and I'm looking at their offenses, and I'm like,
Yeah, players.
but it's looking quite similar to me. The ball is in the hands of their best players who are going to work and giving it up to the other players when they're double teamed or on the rotation. I watched the Dallas game. I said, wow, Dallas offense is give it to Luka at the top of the key.
Watch
Let
out.
him do his thing, and he's going to pass it to you for the three. Like, that's it. Just give it to Luka. That's the offense. Time after time. I'm like, we complaining about Brunson and Randall. Dallas is the same thing. And even though he's getting assists, it's not off of ball movement. It's off of the direct pass from Luka because he draws so much attention. So yeah, I'm a believer in the offense in the regular season. We'll see how it goes. I just want to drop this real quick. According to Jay Weinbach, NBA, the Knicks should be considered the front runners to land DeMar DeRozan. A deal involving Evan Fournier, Isaiah Hartenstein, and draft compensation for DeRozan and Andre Drummond could work. I'm not saying that's that's what's being offered. This person is just saying that could work.
And who is this guy?
Jay Weinbach. Let me see. Let me put him. NBA analysis and writer for Hoops Habit, featured on ESPN, Sports Illustrated, and Yahoo Sports.
See, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me because, if how are you making a trade for DeRozan and you're not trading out any of your twos? Like, that just gives an even bigger I mean, because Fournier's on the team, but he's not getting any minutes.
Correct.
So if you're going to plug in DeRozan, you're going to be playing him 30 plus minutes. Where are they coming from? Like, so you're telling me you're just going to, flat out bench Grimes and quickly? I mean,
Yeah. I don't think, again, they just said what could work. I don't think the Knicks would do that. I'm not saying the Knicks wouldn't trade for DeRozan. I don't think that would be the package.
yeah, I don't either.
I don't
You
think
know,
that.
me, like I'm one of these people that don't have attachment issues. I'm not attached to my house. I'm not attached to the car. I'm not attached to these fly ass shades. I'll get a new pair next week and we'll move on from these. You feel me? But people have attachment issues in New York with the Knicks. And it's like, oh, we drafted him. We can't be traded for other players. We can't trade for older players. It's like, yo, listen. Do you think that DeMar DeRozan coming to this team, if you traded Barrett, is going to significantly improve your team this year, and you could re-sign him for a couple of years for similar money, and you're looking at a real decent big three of DeRozan, Randall, and Brunson. Yo, RJ got me excited. He gave me the fast start I was looking for, but this is the RJ that I know that I've been seeing the last 10, 15 games. This is the RJ that I know. And it's the RJ I'd be willing to trade. Maybe he had a good start to the season. Maybe he's got some decent value, more than he had prior to this year.
Right.
I would trade RJ for DeRozan.
Well, that would help with the fit. I'm not saying that that's something. I mean, I would have to think about that, but that would help with the fit, right? Because one of the issues with the fit was, do we have enough balls for Randall, RJ, Brunson, and now DeRozan? So if you're moving one of them and bringing him in, that would definitely help with the fit.
And Chicago's got to want to have something of value. It's got to either be quickly or RJ. Like, I mean, what else?
If you're breaking it down, you want young players, but do you want young players on rookie contracts?
I mean, there's nobody else of value that Chicago could want other than quickly.
And if they get quickly, they're going to have to pay him. So the rookie contract part's kind of out the window. I mean, here's a guy who's going to get north of $18 million a season,
right.
In all likelihood, within a year. So yeah, you'd get him for $4 million this year, but that doesn't do you much. If that's your concern, that doesn't do you much. If in other words, if you're going to go for the rookie salary, then Grimes is the guy that you would bring in. But the way that Grimes is playing, is anybody, making him part of a centerpiece for a deal for a decent player? I don't know. I don't know about that right now.
Grimes, he might not even break the rotation with Levine at shooting guard.
Yeah.
Well, if they trade DeRozan, I think Levine is probably gone too.
Maybe. Yeah, I could see that.
But this is the thing, though, and we've talked about this before. Are you okay with trading Quickly, who's a young player with years ahead of him, for a player that maybe has 4 years max? And I think I'm stretching it by saying 4 years. When it's not like you're in your prime as a contender and he's like the missing piece, so that gives you a 2 to 4 year window to contend. You know what I mean? So you're giving up Quickly. You're going to bring him in for 2 to 4 years, and you're not even in position to win. Like, I feel like if I'm going to give up a young piece, I would want to give it up for someone who has a longer window so that I can see the results. But your thoughts on that?
I'll say this. I think I agree with Shuttle. I like how he's thinking here. I wouldn't if it's Quickly, but I would if it's RJ. Because I think that with Barrett in that trade, Like Barrett doesn't fit with our big two anyway. So even if we just had DeRozan for a year or two, and then he ends up melting away, I think that he can do more things because he's Mr. Mid Range. I mean, he's automatic from those shots. In other words, if you just give DeRozan the shot diet that Barrett gets right now, I mean, he isn't shooting 40% from there. I guarantee you.
Ever.
Ever. Like that's a bad night for him, like 40% from there. I mean, he's got so and yeah, so and I don't think RJ is that good a defender anyway, so I don't think you would be losing that much from that side of the floor anyway. So if Barrett is the centerpiece of that deal for DeRozan, I think I'm okay with it. But not quickly. That's just how I feel about it.
Right. I believe DeMar, this is his last year on a contract.
Yep.
So that means you would have to re-sign him. And if you don't, basically, what are you saying, that you was able to get off of RJ's contract?
Kind of like the KP situation.
Yeah.
But
we'll see how
I think DeRozan would be with it for New York though, and he's at, what do we say here? 28.6 million.
Oh, that's it. But he might want a little more going forward. But
at 34 years old, he might not be able to get a little more though.
At 34, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we can get into a 2-year deal though. He can get a 2-year deal after this year.
That's true.
You know, and you need a little bit of a veteran presence of some of your better players. I wouldn't be upset. A nice calming demeanor out there. Relax, take it easy. We could use some of that on the court. And I would prefer to keep quickly and save that as a bargaining chip. And I think if you did deal DeRozan for Barrett, then maybe you're giving up 1 first-round pick. You're certainly not giving up 3 or 4, anything crazy. Mm-hmm. So you still have a lot of pieces in your chest, in your cupboard, to make some other power moves. You could do a quickly deal in the offseason to sign and trade with some picks. So you still got a lot of flexibility left and still could bring DeRozan back. So that's kind of what I've been thinking. You're on mute.
Queen, you're muted.
I don't know if we can do signing trade agreements in a new collective bargaining agreement with a restricted free agent. Somebody check that. If somebody knows, if you could put that in the chat.
And what was that question, Queen?
He's a restricted free agent. I don't think you could do signing trades anymore in the off season in the new collective bargaining agreement. But somebody check me on that. Yeah, I mean, listen, if we sign DeMar for RJ, it's a 2-year contract. We're off of RJ's contract. I wouldn't be mad. You're not locking him in for like 4 years on a max, right? So I wouldn't be mad.
Definitely not.
All right.
Too damn old.
Right.
That was funny.
Let's talk about going forward.
Who we got this week? I didn't even look at the schedule this week.
Yeah, matter of fact, I was going to ask some more questions, but let me ask one more question. Going forward, and I'll just put them all in a group and you pick which one. We're not going to have a chance to go through them individually. Going forward, what would you like to see from Randall and Brunson or RJ, the bench, Tibbs? Pick whichever one you want to comment on and what you would like to see going forward. Shuttle, then Jeff?
I'd like to see the front office make a power move.
Okay.
That's what I'm calling out.
None of the above, the front office.
I'm calling out the front office. That's what I'm calling out. I read an interesting article today. They were talking about um, how Fred Van Bleep was on the trade market last season, but he was not playing well, and that their GM did not want to trade him for pennies on the dollar, not because he didn't want to get something instead of nothing, but it sets you up to be prepared as the sucker for later
Mm,
when you're the sucker today.
right.
And it just made me really think about the Knicks moves. Like, yo, they've been so prudent, they've been so like calculated and not willing to really make bad deals that all right, well, no, they haven't made a one that you could be like, oh, that's an incredible deal for in a trade,
Mm-hmm.
but they haven't made a bad one, really. They haven't really made a bad one. So that means that teams are like, yo, we can't fleece the Knicks. And you know what? I respect that
Right.
because you don't want to be a sucker out here in the GM office.
For sure. And we
Calls
were for years.
for years. It's like, oh,
Years.
we got to do somebody. Call the Knicks.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So right now, if you look at players, the projection of where players most likely to be traded are going, none of them are projected as going to the Knicks. And I think the reason why is because the Knicks, they're proven the past 3-4 seasons, you're not going to fleece this team on deals.
But listen,
So
that's why we messed up, though. I feel like the Knicks, at some point, sometimes you got to pay a little extra to get what you need. The
right,
Knicks have all of these, so you're going to hold on to another pick because you don't want to be fleeced and let something pass that could really help you. I think it's all right to just give a little, a little more if you feel that this player is that important to you. That's all I'm saying.
oh,
I
no
don't
question about it.
don't get caught up in the we're gonna get fleas. What is that gonna look like? The other team could probably get away with one less draft pick. Listen, we've all been there bargaining, leaving stuff on the table we really wanted because they wouldn't take our coupon. You know what I mean? And you left the store and you got home and you like, it was only $5 extra. I should have just gave it. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. Jeff,
Well,
your thoughts on that?
that's what I'm
Sorry,
saying.
go ahead.
I'm calling out the GM's office. That's it.
Yeah.
I really want to see RJ play better. I feel like we've he was so promising at one point and now, and it wasn't just because he was hitting shots, but it really feels like in the last week or so he's regressed for the most part, and that's disappointing, especially and it's defensively. That's where it hurts the most because I thought in the beginning of the year he was more locked in on that end, reminded me of his second season, and I'm just not seeing that right now. And it's not just him, but if he and Randall both, I'd really just like to see them, without Mitch, lock in defensively, take that seriously, and take care of business. I mean, I'm not expecting this to be a top 5 defense. I don't think we have the talent for that, but we shouldn't be a bottom 5 defense either. So that's what I'm looking for. I need to see, like, I'm tired of the Matador D and letting folks go to the basket. And this year, the other part of that is, everybody all the best teams shoot 60% from 3 against us. Like Boston, Milwaukee. I think Milwaukee shooting 58% from 3 in 2 games, and I think we got them twice this week. So, hopefully they can cool it off a little bit. But I don't know if that's just a case of teams hitting wide open shots, or if that's just a statistical outlier that'll correct itself over time. I tend to think it's the first and not the second, though. That's my
Yeah.
hunch from what I've seen.
Right. I think what I would like to see, and I might be asking for a lot because these guys are doing a lot for our team already. I would like to see, particularly Brunson, but Randall would be fine, take over at particular points in a game. I just want to see more of that. Spread it around, let everybody get their shots, whatever. But we're down and we need to come back. I need Brunson and Randall like this is my time. You know, we have a lead and the other team is cutting into it. Come down, hit 2, 3 shots in a row, put the lead back up. Crunch time. I just need those guys, particularly Brunson, because I think that's something Randall's been doing. It's something Brunson did for us a lot last year. I don't really see it this year. Just taking over the game just for like 4 possessions. Just 4 possessions. Whip, whip, whap. We back up by 10. That's what I would like to see. From Brunson and obviously from the entire team. I would like to see our defense improve a little. A little. We didn't really have time to talk about it. We didn't get a chance to even talk about Mitch and the whole Hartenstein Sims thing.
Start iHeart, please.
Maybe it was just the Clippers, but Sims looked really out of it.
He looked bad.
Yeah, Clippers. And listen, they got, as somebody made a mistake in the chat, but I like this. They got 4 Ball of Famers over there.
I like that.
That might not have been a mistake.
That
That might not be a mistake.
They got 4 Ball of Famers over there. So that's a tough team. Particularly if they're healthy to beat.
That's a tough spot.
That's a tough. Then you got then Westbrook coming off the bench. Tough. But that interior defense is not looking good. And Sims is not looking good, particularly against the Clippers. He looked okay against the other teams. He's looking raw. And I think the concern I have is he is not looking that much different than his rookie year. And somebody correct me if I'm wrong, if you guys are seeing something different. 4 years of college. Yeah. 4 years of college. So it's not like you came out at 18 or 19. 4 years of college. Well, this is third year. 3 year, 2 years is your third year of NBA experience. And I'm not seeing much improvement. Now, Tibbs said he was killing it in training camp. But I'm not really seeing it translate to the floor, at least in my eyes. Then you go out and he looked really off. Right. And then you go out and you get Taj. I'm like, well, if you seeing that Sims ain't ready, that means you should be looking for somebody that can give you 15 minutes a night for the rest of the season. I don't know if Taj can give us at 7, if he can give us 15 minutes a night for the rest of the season. I don't really know. I don't know. I don't know.
It's looking bad.
Yeah. All right, let's do this really quick. Go ahead.
I want to do a deal for Kelly Olynyk.
That's not gonna help our defense, though.
Yeah, but at least he's 6'11". He's wild. He's aggressive. He's not gonna let you just come through the lane. You know what I'm saying? Like, he might not be great on defense, but he will knock you down. I like that. Some of that's missing.
Right.
And he's cheap. He's cheap.
Yeah.
They don't need him. They got marketing. They got what's that guy's name? Kessler.
Walker Kessler.
Yeah. If they got Kessler, they got the rookie power forward they just drafted. He's expiring contract. It's only $11 million.
Yeah. Listen, the chat is don't let DJ Shuttle depress y'all. The chat is in here depressed. I knew it was over once we signed. I knew it was over. Like once we signed Taj Gibson. Oh my God. Oh
Uh,
man. Anyway, we play the Lakers tonight. The Lakers are 15-11. They lost their last game. They're eighth in the Western Conference, 20th in offensive rating, eighth in defensive rating, 18th in net rating. Wednesday we play, I believe it is. Yeah, Wednesday we play the Brooklyn Nets. They're 13-12. They lost their last two games. They're ninth in the Eastern Conference. We haven't played them this season. They're 10th in offensive rating, 20th in defensive rating, but 13th in net rating. All right, so that game, that game is not going to be a gimme. And then we have our 67th matchup with the Milwaukee Bucks. They're 19-7. They've won 4 in a row. Second in the Eastern Conference. We're 0-2 against them, but it seemed like we played them 3. We've only played them twice.
Yeah, we got 3 more. We play them back to back. Like I think it's like Saturday, Monday. We play them twice, and then I think we have one more game against them later in the year.
yeah, 5 times because of the tournament.
Okay.
Yep.
So
Boston and Milwaukee 5 times each.
Okay. They're third in offensive rating, 21st in defensive rating, but the net rating is 6. You know, that's what I want for the Knicks. You know, you're going to be 6 in offensive rating, be 20th in defensive rating. Then they have a net rating of 6. That's pretty good.
Very good.
Yeah. Your thoughts on this week, the Lakers and the rest of the week, Shuttle?
Tough week. Tough week. I mean, rivalry game is always going to be tough, you know. Nets have some talented athletic players. And when you got a guy like Dinwiddie who loves to be the Knicks killer, you know, you just can't, you can't look at it as a cakewalk. And as bad as this defense has been, I mean, when you look at the way Cam Thomas has been getting buckets this year and the way Bridges has been getting buckets this year, I mean, and Cam Johnson was out for a lot of games, but he's coming back to get busy too. So, you know, I'm not feeling optimistic about this week at all.
Right.
That's my nice way of saying I don't know if we're going to get a win.
Right. I don't know if D'Angelo Russell is playing tonight. He was injured last game, so I'm not sure if the injury reports are out. If
yesterday they said LeBron and Anthony Davis were both questionable. I don't know if that's true or not. I saw that on Twitter.
Yeah. Everybody is questionable until it's time to play the Knicks, and they be right there. Paul George was questionable.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, yeah.
You know,
they erase that question if they see the Knicks.
KP had missed 4 straight games. He was healthy for the Knicks. I'm like, come on. So what's your record? What do you have? What's the record this week? DJ Shuttle, before we move on to Jeff.
Oh, you didn't hear what I said?
You said it doesn't look like a good week.
Yeah, I was saying that was my polite way of saying I don't think we're gonna win any of these games.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I don't know which one we're gonna win, but I say we're gonna go 1 and 2. I don't know which one it's gonna be. It may be tonight, but I think we go 1 and 2. Actually, the game that scares me the most is the Nets game, because it's going to be the first game back from the West Coast, and they're finally sleeping in their own beds because they're playing. Barclays isn't really a road game in my opinion, but it's still that's their Larry O'Brien trophy. That's their play-in tournament game. That's their that's the game they have circled on their schedule every year, and the Knicks is just like another game. Like we don't come into it with that same intensity for it's like, oh, I'm playing little brother, and I think that makes a difference sometimes over the course of an 82-game season. The Bucks are just a matchup nightmare for us. They always are, and they will continue to be. They were last year, and even this year. I think it's maybe they won't shoot 60% from 3 on 30 attempts. That would help.
Right. I mean, we play the Bucks again. So technically it's Monday, so it's next week, Christmas Day. but I think the Knicks are going to go 2-2. If I add that other Bucks, so we're going to win one of these Bucks games against the Bucks. I just don't know which one it's going to be. I think the Knicks beat the Nets and one of the Buck victories, and I think we one of the Bucks games. I think we lose one of the Bucks games, and I think we lose to the Lakers tonight.
Sign me up for that. We go 2-2 in the next 4. Sign me up. I'm ready. I'll take it.
2-1.
If that happens, I'll be more optimistic. I'll be more optimistic next week
1-2
because that means you will actually have beaten the top tier team.
in the Bucks.
Exactly.
Okay. I mean, I don't expect if you're not as good as those teams, I think it's okay to not beat them. To me, is what are you doing against everybody else, particularly those who are on your level? You know what I mean? Like, I don't expect the Knicks to beat the Bucks or to beat Boston. If they do, great. But what are you doing against the Pacers? What are you doing against Miami? What are you doing against Cleveland? What are you doing against Orlando? The teams that are supposedly on your level. What are you doing against those teams? Now, if they're not beating those teams, I would be a bit more concerned. You know what I mean? Like you not beating Indiana and Orlando, and these are the on your level. I would be a little more concerned than not beating the Bucks and Boston because I
We'll
just
find
think they're
out.
better.
We have them coming up at the end of the month. Indiana and Orlando both.
Yeah, we close out with OKC, if I'm not mistaken, OKC, Orlando, and Indiana, not in that particular order, I don't think. Um, yeah, Josh has us going 0-3. I hope not. Obviously, it's possible. Um, but I hope not. Julius Caesar, we're getting a win tonight. I hope you're right. Um, all right. Any last words? Let me bring us back.
Let's go, Knicks.
You're not saying it with conviction. You're not saying it with conviction.
Let's go, Knicks. Let's go,
Well, two
Knicks.
things can be true. He can expect us to lose all 3 games and still rooting his tail off for them to win. That's not mutually exclusive at all. So I want to say thanks again, Queen, for having me.
Of course.
Shuttle, it's always a privilege and an honor. I love listening to your takes on the game. I like the way you think about the game. I don't always agree with you, but you always come with an intelligence that raises the level of the broadcast. So I appreciate that,
No doubt.
and it's always a privilege, Queen, to be on with y'all, the chat is amazing, and so it's just always a great experience.
Yeah. Well, thank you and Shuttle for raising the level of the show for real. Shuttle, I love it because he doesn't pull any punches. And I love straight shooters. And he's one, Stafford's another one. It's a few of them. I appreciate you guys. All right. And shout out to the chat. I appreciate y'all rocking with us. We got 92 in the chat. I haven't checked. Let me just check the like and see where we are.
42 likes.
32?
42.
What? Yeah. So if you guys can hit the like button on your way out, it helps the channel. Also, the channel has been demonetized. Hopefully that'll change sometime in January. So there's no super chats. Even if you wanted to give a super chat, you wouldn't be able to. If you're a monthly member, you may have noticed that they didn't take the $5 out this month because the channel has been demonetized. So support the channel. You can send any donations through Cash App at $ nothing but Knicks or PayPal.me/nothing but Knicks. You see it scrolling along the bottom here. Shout out to Sim. He should be on 9:30. I'm not sure. I'm in the rooms. I can't see when the show is scheduled, but he'll be on with the pregame show, and you can catch me Thursday on the Just Nick in It weekly show. If you haven't subscribed to Dope Soul Sports Talk, be sure to do so. And I'm planning a pop-up show this week. I'm not sure when, so I don't want to say when, but I'm planning a pop-up show. So you'll see me another time during
Hence, hence the pop up. Hello.
pop-up. That's right, right. You're right. You're right. You're right.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Make sure you have the notifications on for Dope Soul Sports Talk, and you'll know when I go live. Till next time, fam.